With the name of Almighty One God, who is most merciful and beneficent. Dear friends, my name is Dr. Abu Abdullah and I am a certified researcher from 6 international universities. We will be talking today about contribution of Muslims in industrial progress. The achievements of Muslims in the industrial field had not been less spectacular than those in the political and intellectual spheres. The Muslims during the Caliphate of Abbasid and Umayyads in Spain had developed their industries to such a high degree of perfection that their finished products were viewed with the wonder at the imperial courts of the Europe. The watch presented by Harun Rashid to Charlemagne, Emperor of France, was regarded as an object of wonder. Their manufactured goods had captured the markets of the known world, and their fabrics formed the favorite dresses of the ladies of the imperial houses of Europe. But the West has always taken pains to minimize the achievements of Muslims, and John William Draper had rather gone out of the way in his outspoken book, The Intellectual Development of Europe, when he says, I have to deplore the systemic manner in which the literature of Europe has contrived to put out of sight our scientific obligations to the Mohammedans. Surely they cannot be such longer hidden. The Arab Muslims has left his intellectual impressor Europe as before long. Christendom will have to confess he has indelibly written it on the heavens, as anyone may see who reads the names of the stars on a common celestial globe. The Genesis of Arab who formed the Genesis of the Arabs who formed the vanguard of human civilization during medieval time manufactured novel things and organized large-scale production of commodities which were liberally supplied to different parts of the world. Their enterprising merchants carried their finished products to the outermost parts of the world. The merchant navy of Muslim Spain alone comprised 1,000 ships. Now we'll talk about the reign of Abbasid. The Abbasid caliphs provided the most congenial atmosphere for the intellectual, cultural, and industrial development of the Muslims. It was in this period that the Arabs, Muslims were given the fullest opportunity to display their talents in different walks of life. Harun and Mamun were the greatest patrons of arts and science during medieval times. Muttasim is particularly known for the interest he exhibited in the industrial enterprises of his empire. He had many industrial projects executed during his lifetime, and a large number of factories were established in Iraq. Manufacturers of every kind were encouraged and fostered. The glass and the soap made in the factories of Basra were famous throughout the world. During the reign of Muttasim Billah, a large number of factories sprang up around about Baghdad and in other important cities of the Iraq. The paper industry particularly received much impetus, and in important paper factories, skilled workmen from Egypt were employed. Persia was noted for her gold and embroidery work, which was carried on in all the big cities. High-class fabrics including satin, brocade, silk, and carpets were manufactured in Islamic domains and were in greater demand all over the world. Kufa was famous for its silk and silk handicrafts known as the Kufia. Khuzestan, which is the ancient name of Sociana produces super fine cloth. The beautiful brocade of Terces, an eminent Orientalist, the rich carpets of Kurkub and the silks and the satins of Su were in request all over the world. The other provisions were equally famous for their splendid manufactures. Sarjad contained a royal factory for gold embroidery of damask, camel hair fabrics, and carpets. It also produced embroidered curtains made of spun silk, which is called kaz. For the embroidered curtains made of spun silk, kaz for the sultan, and the rasil, camel and goat hair mar materials. Here were manufactured splendid cloths of spun silk, considered superior to the stripped woolen cloths of Shiraz. The wealthy cities of Khorasan were active in the production of brocades, carpets, rugs, hangings, coverings for cushions, and woolen fabrics of all kind. In short, every city in the Caliph, in the empire, had its own particular manufacture in metal, glass, wool, silk, or linen. Syria was famous for its manufacture of glass, and as early as the 2nd century of the Hijrah, party colored and enameled glass was produced. Jandishpur was the seat of the first observatory and the first college of natural sciences in the world. This college gave an impetus to the development of industry and commerce. The chemical research in this college led to the knowledge of sugar refining, which was successfully applied to sugar industries in Khuzestan and later on in Spain. Spain produced high-class sugar. The commodities exported during Abbasid caliphs were agriculture produces, glasses, hardware, silk, textiles, perfumes of all kinds, rose water, saffron, syrup, oils, etc. Now we'll talk about Spain. The Muslim kingdom of Spain had become a very prosperous state due to the extensive industries developed there and the large-scale production carried out in the factories. Her revenues obtained through commercial duties, according to a European author, exceeded the entire revenue of all the Christian states of the Europe taken together. Spain under the Caliphate, according to the Philips Haiti, was one of the wealthiest and most thickly populated lands of Europe, called Cordoba. The capital of the Muslim state had 13,000 looms and flourishing leather industry. The art of tanning and embossing leather has been developed to a high degree of perfection, and from where it spread to the Morocco, England, and France as the term Cordoba, as the terms Cordovian, Cordoviner, and Morocco indicates. The celebrated Spanish historian Magari has written that high-class woolen and silken fabrics were manufactured not only in Cordoba but also in Malaya, Almeria, and other towns. Almeria also produced glassware and brasswork. Sericulture was much developed in Spain. According to Ibn Khatib, Valencia was the home of pottery. Mining industry was fully developed. Jain and Algeva were famous for their mines of gold and silver. Cordoba for its iron and lead, and Malaga for its rubies. According to Ibn Haki, Toledo, like Damascus, was known throughout the world for its swords. The art of inlays, steel, and other metals, says a celebrated Western Orientalist, with gold and silver and decorating them with flower patterns, which was introduced from Damascus, flourished in several European and Spanish centers and left a linguistic heritage in such words as the Muscane, French, and Latin, the Muscian. Muslim Spain Muslim Spain was a leading state in textile industry. It produced high-class cotton, woolen, and silk fabrics, which captured the European markets. Cordoba had 13,000 and Almira 4,800 looms. In the development of sumptuous textile arts, writes Philips Keheti, which made Arabic-speaking people the leading fabric makes and silk machine in the medieval world. The Muslim Arabs of Spain had a share, but in carpet making, Spain offered no serious competition to Europeans, especially Persian market. The word Muslim has been derived from the word mussolina, a cotton fabric supplied to the Italy from the al-Musil. The fine silken fabric supplied by Baghdad to Italy was called baldeco, and it was used in the decoration of big churches of the Europe. Similarly, during the 13th and 14th centuries AD, Granada, the capital of the last Muslim kingdom in Spain, supplied European dress shop with grandness. Muslim workmen were mainly responsible in setting up textile industry in France and Italy. The Muslims of Spain had converted the barren lands of Spain into a garden, and agriculture was developed to a high degree. Agricultural industry also flourished in Spain. Seville alone had several thousand oil factories. Besides the textile and agriculture industries, papers, porcelain, earthenware, iron, steel, and leather industries were carried on an extensive scale. The tapestries of Cordoba, the woolen stuffs of Mauricia, the silk of Granada, Almira, and Sevilla, the steel and the goldwork of Toledo, and the paper of Celibat were sought all over the world. It was the Muslim Arabs who introduced the manufacturers of silk and cotton fabrics in Spain. They had specialized in the art of dyeing and had invented black dyeing with indigo. The glazed tiles used in the palaces of Alhambra and the fine vases still found there bear ample testimony to their perfection in the manufacturing of porcelain. The manufactures of gunpowder, sugar, and paper were introduced into Spain by the Muslims. So here we end our lecture. We will continue this contribution of Muslims in industrial growth in the next lecture. Keep on watching my channel, Dr. Abu Abdullah.